Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're joining us from. My name's Kevin Sparks, and I just want to go ahead and get rolling. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with you guys. So I want to share a few things with you. Um, okay, so the first thing I want to go ahead and do and share with you guys, hang on here a second, is you guys may be curious about what we're about or want to know a little more about us. What I went ahead and did, and you've already been sent it, I hope, or received it when you joined us, but I want to give you access to a YouTube video that we have. And let's see here. I had it ready to go. We're not going to play the video, okay? But what I want to do with this, okay, so we have a YouTube video here. Pause it. I'm going to go ahead and share the link with you guys in the chat. That way, I don't have to spend time today telling you what we're about or what we're going to be doing. This will help you have a better understanding of what's going on here. And that way, I can take more time going through discussing and teaching and learning with everybody. So, but you can go ahead and click on that YouTube video. Maybe it's just so you can save your spot or whatever, unless it's going to jump you out of the screen. And then you could watch it later, but that's where you can find it. And again, it was sent to you originally when you signed up, I hope. However, if it wasn't, that'll give you an overview, let you know a little bit more about myself. I'll just be brief about myself. Like every one of you guys, we've probably all had people who have had a big impact in our lives and have been mentors and whatnot. I've had many. However, I've had the privilege and opportunity to work together very closely with a couple of them. And I would say that they've had a greater impact on me in relationship to understanding how money, business, entrepreneurship, and things like that work. One is a gentleman by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. Don't know if you've heard of him or not. However, he's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've had the opportunity to work together with him as an advisor and with his team. He and Sharon Lechter, this goes back several years. And I was an advisor to them on some of the things they were doing to grow their business. And I got to see the inside workings of what they do, which gave me insight into what Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter were about. And that had obviously an impact on me and what I feel about money, entrepreneurship, investing, and things like that. The other person, again, there are many, however, I'll point out one other, is a gentleman by the name of Bob Proctor. Whether or not you've heard of him, I don't know. If you've seen the movie The Secret or read the book The Secret, you've probably heard of him, especially in the movie. But he's highlighted heavily in both the book and the movie The Secret. He's also written his own book called You're Born Rich. And Bob Proctor has been in the personal development field since age 27. And today he is, I forget if it's 86 or 87 years old. So I have had the opportunity actually to work closely with him and actually hired him at one point to help coach me, and also became a coach and facilitator for some of his programs. Now I do things more independent, but I still have a relationship with him and several people in his organization that I'm friends with and several of the coaches. So that'll be all I'm going to say about myself, because I want to jump in and get moving on some other things. The other thing I want to share with you is we have a Facebook group that coincides with what we're doing here Monday through Friday. Hopefully it will pop up here quickly. I had it all queued up, but it was sitting for a while. Here we go. And it has the same name as our meetup groups. So it's I Want to Be Really Rich, and I do not apologize for it. I'm going to go ahead and copy this right here, and let's see if this will help. If I can get, oh, I didn't really want that. I don't really care about that right now. What I wanted to do was get into chat and post the link for the Facebook group. That way you can come join us, interact with us. And this is also a place where we'll be archiving the recordings of what we do each day. So you'll have access to that if you happen to miss a day, or maybe you can make 2 or 3 out of the week, or whatever you choose to do. It's up to you guys what you want to do with that. The next thing and final thing I'm going to share with you, at least for right now, as far as um, different things that you might want to go search out. We are currently in the process. So we started just a couple, let's see, what's it been? Yeah, a couple days ago. And we are actually in the process of going through a book right now. We'll go on with this for a few more days. We're on page 23 of 77 in this particular PDF. It's a book called The Science of Getting Rich. It was written and published by Wallace D. Wattles, not expecting you to know who he is, except what you may have heard of him if you've read the book The Secret, or if you've heard Bob Proctor speak. Robert Kiyosaki is probably not going to mention it. But Rhonda Byrne was given this book by her daughter, and after reading this particular book, this was the impetus for her saying, oh my gosh, and it helped change her life. And she decided to make the movie, and again, the book The Secret, which has touched millions of people throughout the world. Science of Getting Rich, as far as Bob Proctor is concerned, once upon a time, he went to work at Nightingale Conant with, let's see, it was Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant. They had read the book together, Earl Nightingale and Lloyd, this book, The Science of Getting Rich. And it was after reading this particular book that they made the decision to start the Nightingale Conant Corporation, which was really the first company out there that had produced material in the personal development field on a regular basis. So that's kind of that. And as far as me, I was exposed to this particular book back in February of 2006. Yeah, February of 2006. I went to a Science of Getting Rich seminar that was taught by a gal by the name of Leslie Householder, who at the time was one of Bob Proctor's coaches and facilitators. Read the book, went through to the seminar, spent the 3 days with them, was given some additional material to go over with more of a self-study type thing, which was actually Bob Proctor teaching the Science of Getting Rich seminar in a self-study way. Anyhow, after going through those things, reading the book, going to the seminar, listening to and going through the workbooks and things with Bob Proctor self-study, after the next 3 months, so this was mid-February of 2006, by April 1st of 2006, I had quit my job and was now a full-time self-employed entrepreneur. My income from that period forward, so my previous income was about $5 to $6 grand a month at my job, and my income averaged over the next 8 months of the year. So for the rest of the year, it fluctuated, but the average income over those 8 months went up to $50,000 a month. So I can tell you absolutely that this book has had an impact on me. Not the only one, not the only thing I work from or share from, but I thought since it was something that was able to help me out from the get-go that I would share it with you guys. Maybe some of you have read it already. Maybe some of you have had similar impact. Maybe some of you have had no impact. We all get different things at different times in our lives out of what it is that we read, what it is that we watch, and what it is that we listen to, and whom we listen to. But again, we are, so you can find the book, obviously Amazon, easy to find paperback, obviously a Kindle. Here's what I did if you want this exact same copy. I just typed into Google, Science of Getting Rich PDF, and the first thing that popped up organically was, funny enough, thesecret.tv, which was Rhonda Byrne's website, and a link. So I clicked it and bam, it opened up right here, and then I downloaded it. So if you want that particular copy to follow along with us, you're welcome to do that. That would be awesome. The other thing you can do is go back a couple of days and review what we've been doing together since we got started. All right. So the first few chapters of this book are predominantly designed to help everybody understand the importance of money. Not that it teaches you a lot about money. By the way, if people are popping things into chat, I'm going to be honest, I'm not looking at it right now. So I can move forward. You guys can chat amongst each other. That's fine. What I intend to do is share with you for a while from the book and some commentary, and then leave somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 10 to 15 minutes at the end to let you guys go ahead and share any ideas, thoughts, feelings, commentary, or questions that you might have, so we can be interactive there. But if I stop to answer chat every single time it pops up, we won't get through anything. But what I was getting at is the very beginning of this book, Wallace Wattles is essentially trying to convince you and me that being rich is a good thing, that having a lot of money is a good thing. Because if our subconscious program has been programmed to say no, money is bad, rich people are evil, and all that type of thing, we're going to have a difficult time manifesting money in our life, no matter what our profession is. It's not necessarily the business we're in or the profession that we're in that's going to make or break us financially. It's not necessarily going to be the systems we learn or the how to run a business side of it. I went through all those different things, had plenty of experience, and still could never get my income up over 5-6 grand a month until I got to the point where I went through those seminars. But it wasn't just going through that. It was the study I did afterwards that I worked on reprogramming myself to actually be okay with making a lot of money. Until my subconscious mind would cooperate with me, it just wasn't going to happen, no matter how hard I worked, how many hours I worked, or what kind of business I got into. So what Wallace Wattles is saying too is the reason money is important is because we're designed to be more than we currently are. Okay, that's why you're here right now. That's why we are here. We're designed to want to be more than we are. We want to do more than we've done, and we want to have more than we've had. And it's not this accumulation type of thing. It's that, hey, but for instance, if I were somebody that was gifted in an area, or potentially gifted, maybe we don't know fully, in the area of music and maybe playing the piano. If I live in a household that has no piano to practice on or to play on, it's a lot more difficult for me to unfold that talent. And who knows what lies underneath? Maybe I'm the next Beethoven. I'm not saying I am. I'm actually saying this because I'm kind of the opposite of all that. But the point I'm getting at is Beethoven wouldn't have known Beethoven wouldn't have been him if he didn't have the opportunity to be around the instruments and work with those and develop the way he did. What allowed him to do that? He had to have the use of those instruments. What allowed him to have the use of those instruments? I don't fully know because I wasn't alive living in Beethoven's house, but one of two things. One, either he and or someone else could afford to buy them and they bought them and allowed him to use those and maybe even gave them to him, or somebody else nearby had them and they allowed him to borrow theirs and use his, and learn off that way. But the point is, he couldn't have developed his talents as well as he did if he didn't have use of things. That's what we need money and wealth for. We need money and wealth so that we can have the free and unrestricted use of things. And the only way that we're going to have that is if we're able to buy them, and or somebody else is going to have to buy it. Somebody's going to have to own these things. Somebody who owns them might be willing to rent them or something, but of course, if you own the things that you need to develop yourself, that's a lot easier than having to always ask permission for those things. That's why we have this deep desire inside of us to want money and to be rich. It's an innate desire that we have, and it's going to stay there unless we shove it out and we start programming ourselves to believe that money is a bad thing. The crazy thing is, even if we believe money is a bad thing, the person who wants to learn, music and wants to become a better musician, maybe a given instrument, doesn't necessarily recognize the correlation between being able to have money and wealth and being able to develop their talent as a musician. So anyhow, that's just an example. Increasing life. You must get rid of the last vestige of the old idea that there is a deity whose will it is that you should be poor, or whose purposes may be served by keeping you in poverty. The intelligent substance. Okay, so what is intelligent substance? Going back a little bit, it can be a lot of different things, all right? But Wallace Wattles is going to talk about intelligent substance, formless substance, thinking substance when he's referring to this. Another way, more scientifically, it might be referred to is energy and or maybe matter, okay? But that's what he's referring to. The intelligent substance, which is in all, or which is all and in all, and which lives in all and lives in you, is a consciously living substance. Being a consciously living substance, it must have the nature and inherent desire of every living intelligence for increase of life. Every living thing must continually seek for the enlargement of its life, because life in the mere act of living must increase itself. A seed dropped into the ground springs into activity, and in the act of living produces 100 more seeds. Life, by living, multiplies itself. It is forever becoming more. It must do so if it continues to be at all. Intelligence is under the same necessity for continuous increase. And that's essentially who we are too. We're an intelligence ourselves. Every thought we think makes it necessary for us to think another thought. Consciousness is continually expanding. Every fact we learn leads us to the learning of another fact. Knowledge is continually increasing. Every talent we cultivate brings to mind the desire to cultivate another talent. We are subject to the urge of life, seeking expression, whichever drives us on to know more, to do more, and to be more. In order to know more, do more, and be more, we must have more. We must have things to use, for we learn and do and become only by using things. We must get rich so we can live more. Okay, so again, the purpose of getting rich, you can have as much money as you want, okay? But the reason he's teaching us how to become rich, how to attract money and wealth into our lives, is so that we have the use of things, right? We must have the use of things, for we learn and do and become only by using things. And so we have to become rich if we want to be able to live more. And again, that's a concept that most people don't think of it that way. People think in terms of accumulation or power, or if I don't have, if someone else has something I can't, or if I have something somebody else has less, and that's not how it works at all. But we need to have enough. Every one of us has different desires. Those are based upon who we are. Those are based upon our possibilities, okay? And everybody's just a little bit different. The desire for riches is simply the capacity for larger life, seeking fulfillment. That's why you want it, okay? You might think you want just a stack of money, but the reason you want the money is what you can use the money for. Okay, a stack of money in and of itself is just a stack of paper. Every desire is the effort of an unexpressed possibility to come into action. It is power seeking to manifest which causes desire. That which makes you want more money is the same as that which makes the plant grow. It is life seeking fuller expression. The one living substance must be subject to this inherent law of all life. It is permeated with the desire to live more. That is why it is under the necessity of creating things. The one substance desires to live more in you. Hence, it wants you to have all the things you can use. It is the desire of God that you should get rich. He wants you to get rich, and here's why: because he can express himself better through you if you have plenty of things to use in giving him expression. It's so you can develop yourself, so you can become everything you can become, do the things that you want to do, and have the things you want to have. And the things you want to have are ultimately, typically, to help you become something above and beyond what you've become so far. He can live more in you if you have the unlimited command of the means of life. What do we mean by unlimited command? Does that mean we have a limited amount of money? Not necessarily. It means we have the ability, though, to manifest what we need, so that we have what we need, so we have the use of the things that we need to develop ourselves. And for different people, it's going to be a different amount of money. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. But it's that unlimited command of the means of life. We already manifest. Every one of us manifests things in our life through our thoughts and our feelings. What we end up manifesting, though, is determined by our understanding how the laws work and obeying those laws, so we actually receive what we want. And we'll get into more discussion on the laws at another time, but there's more than just the law of attraction that we're working with. The universe desires you to have everything you want to have. Nature is friendly to your plans. everything is naturally for you. Make up your mind that this is true. It is essential, however, that your purpose should harmonize with the purpose that is in all. You must want real life, not mere pleasure of sensual gratification. Life is the performance of function, and the individual really lives only when he or she performs every function, physical, mental, and spiritual, of which he or she is capable without excess in any. By the way, you'll find the book is going to reference he versus she way more often, and understand again, it was written in 1910. So please don't let that bother you. You do not want to get rich in order to live swinishly for the gratification of animal desires. That is not life. But the performance of every physical function is a part of life, and no one lives completely who denies the impulses of the body a normal and healthful expression. You do not want to get rich solely to enjoy mental pleasures, to get knowledge, to gratify ambition, to outshine others, to be famous. All of these are a legitimate part of life, but the man or woman who lives for the pleasures of the intellect alone will only have a partial life, and they will never be satisfied with their lot. You do not want to get rich solely for the good of others, to lose yourself for the salvation of mankind, to experience the joys of philanthropy and sacrifice. The joys of the soul are only a part of life, and they're no better or nobler than any other part. You want to get rich in order that you may eat, drink, and be merry when it is time to do these things. That's the caveat. And why? In order that you may surround yourself with beautiful things, see distant lands, feed your mind, develop your intellect, in order that you may love men and do kind things and be able to play a good part in helping the world find truth. But remember that extreme altruism is no better and no nobler than extreme selfishness. Both are mistakes. Get rid of the idea that God wants you to sacrifice yourself for others and that you can secure his favor by doing so. God requires nothing of the kind. What he wants is that you should make the most of yourself, for yourself, and for others. And you can help others more by making the most of yourself than in any other way. And you also set a great example by doing that. You can make the most of yourself only by getting rich. Huh? What do you mean? You can make the most of yourself only by getting rich. Might be another concept you struggle with, right? But again, what is the idea behind why you would want to get rich and have money? So you have the free and unrestricted use of the things necessary to be all you can be, do all you can do, and have all you can have. And also in doing those things and learning how it works, you can set the example for other people and share it with them too. So it is right and praiseworthy that you should give your first and best thought to the work of acquiring wealth. And again, it's not this accumulation type thing, it's the knowledge of how it works. And then acquiring enough of that so that you can start working and moving forward in becoming what it is that you truly feel inside you want to become. Remember, however, that the desire of substance is for all, and its movements must be for more life to all. It cannot be made to work for less life to any, because it is equally in all seeking riches in life. Intelligent substance will make things for you, but it will not take things away from someone else and give them to you. You must get rid of the thought of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created. Let me repeat this. This is important. You must get rid of the thought of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created. You do not have to take anything away from anyone. You do not have to drive sharp bargains. You do not have to cheat or to take advantage. You do not need to let any man or woman work for you for less than he or she earns. You do not have to covet the property of others or to look at it with wishful eyes. No person has anything of which you cannot have the like, and that without taking what they have away from them. You are to become a creator, not a competitor. You're going to get what you want, but in such a way that when you get it, every other person will have more than they have now. I am aware that there are people who get a vast amount of money by proceeding in direct opposition to the statements in the paragraph above, and may add a word of explanation here. Men of the plutocratic type who become very rich do so sometimes purely by their extraordinary ability on the plane of competition. And sometimes they unconsciously relate themselves to substance in its great purposes and movements from the general racial upbuilding through industrial evolution. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan, et al. Have been the unconscious agents of the supreme in the necessary work of systematizing and organizing productive industry. And in the end, their work will contribute immensely toward increased life for all. Their day is nearly over. They have organized production and will soon be succeeded by the agents of the multitude, who will organize the machinery of distribution. The multimillionaires are like the prehistoric reptiles of the prehistoric era. They play a necessary part in the evolutionary process, but the same power which produced them will dispose of them. And it is well to bear in mind that they have never been really rich. A record of the private lives of most of this class will show that they've really been the most abject and wretched of the poor. And that's because of how they acquired their riches on the competitive plane. Riches secured on the competitive plane are never satisfactory and permanent. They're yours today and another's tomorrow. Remember, if you're to become rich in a scientific and certain way, you must rise entirely out of the competitive thought. You must never think for a moment that the supply is limited. Just as soon as you begin to think that all the money is being cornered and controlled by the bankers and others, and that you must exert yourself to get laws passed to stop this process, and so on, in that moment, you drop into the competitive plane. That meaning you don't believe in the creative process. You believe that you have to do something to someone else if you're going to get what you want, and that's not true. And your power to cause creation is gone for the time being. And what is worse, you will probably arrest the creative movements you have already instituted. No, there are countless millions of dollars worth of gold in the mountains of the earth, not yet brought to light. And know that if there were not, more would be created from the thinking substance to supply your needs. Know that the money you need will come, even if it is necessary for 1,000 men to be led to the discovery of new gold mines tomorrow. Never look at the visible supply. Look always at the limitless riches in formless substance, and know that they're coming to you as fast as you can receive and use them. And that is when you learn how to attract them by law. Nobody, by cornering the visible supply, can prevent you from getting what is yours. So never allow yourself to think for an instant that all the best building spots will be taken before you get ready to build your house, unless you hurry. Never worry about the trust and combines and get anxious for fear that they will soon come to own the whole earth. Never get afraid that you will lose what you want because some other person beats you to it. That cannot possibly happen. You're not seeking anything that is possessed by anyone else. You're causing what you want to be created from formless substance, and the supply is without limits. Stick to the formulated statement. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. Okay, we're going to, at least in this book, not in our conversation, but as far as the book goes, we're going to go ahead and stop right there. And here's what I would like to go ahead and do right now. Let's see, looks like we've had, definitely we about doubled in size since we started. Okay, Super quick for you guys. I'm going to share the screen one more quick time. For those of you that came a little late, here's what I want to point out. If you go into chat, you will see that I in here, let's see, I posted the link right here from me to everyone to a YouTube video that explains a little about who I am and gives more detail about what the group is about and what we're going to be doing. And then I also, in the chat, where did it go? It's not scrolling quite the way I want. Well, anyhow, we have a Facebook group and we have a Facebook group. And then of course we have this book, The Science of Getting Rich. Anyhow, that's where we're going to archive these classes and our discussions we have each day for you. And no, I know. I think the chat, it's because we've gone further down the chat. Super quick, Facebook group, boom. It's called I Want to Be Really Rich, and I do not apologize for it. Same as the group name. And then the video was actually originally sent to you when you signed up, hopefully. So just wanted to share that really quick, and now we can talk with each other and share with each other. So want to ask you guys and gals, what are, and whatever your experience is, because every one of us has different experiences in our lives. Some of us might feel pretty experienced around utilizing the law of attraction and the laws to manifest the money and wealth that we want. Some of us may feel like beginners in relationship to where we want to be. We probably all feel like beginners. But I would like you to share any thoughts that you might have from what we read, or any thoughts and feelings you have about the law of attraction, and whether you think, you know, being rich is a good idea, and or if you have any questions that you'd like to pose that we could give you some help with. Go ahead and do that. Just go ahead and come off mute. I did mute everybody, okay, when we got started. So if you just unmute yourself, and if you'd like to share, go ahead and start. And the first person who talks is the first person who gets to share.
Hi, Kevin. This is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Thanks for offering this and creating this group. I really appreciate it. I'm pretty familiar with law of attraction, but my question is, which you touched on yesterday, is a lot of what stops us is the old unconscious belief systems. So I don't know if this book addresses that, because isn't that a lot of what's holding us back?
It is. The book does address it and how to work with it and deal with it a bit. Yeah, ultimately, everything that it is that we want that we don't currently have, okay, that we've maybe put some effort into trying to accumulate or manifest or accomplish or whatever it might be. If it's something that we truly want and we put that effort, and yet we seem to get stuck in having that actually manifest in your life, our life, my life, then yeah, there is something in there that is an old program that's running subconsciously. And because of that program, it will hold us back. Now, the great thing about the subconscious mind is it was designed actually to help us, not to harm us. However, it doesn't determine between good, bad, right, or wrong. So I'm going to have I'm going to take a minute here and just share a couple thoughts about the subconscious mind and my understanding of it. The subconscious mind is designed to put things on autopilot for us. Okay. That's why we don't die when we go to sleep every night. Okay. We don't actually have to think about breathing and sleeping and whatnot. And most of us, you know, we're different ages on here, but most of us have probably ridden a bike and learned how to ride a bike, and could, even if we haven't done it in years, could probably jump back on a bike and go do it. Many of us have probably driven cars before and learned how to do that, to the point where we've driven now, we could go drive somewhere, get out of the car and think to ourselves almost, I don't remember my entire drive. We were thinking about other stuff. How is it that I was able to do that, right? Well, it's because of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind was designed so that we can learn something, master it, and then it goes on autopilot. The subconscious mind was also learned to take in ideas for us so we can make better and quicker decisions. The subconscious mind, though, does not decide between good and bad and right or wrong. That's not its job. So it doesn't, if we try and do something that might be a bad thing, it's not going to try and stop us unless there's a program in there that says doing this thing is bad. Okay. It's right or wrong. It's all based upon what we decided is good, bad, right, or wrong. That's what the subconscious mind will do. And what does the subconscious mind's definition of good, bad, right, or wrong? Right? It doesn't have one, but it does have a purpose. Its number one purpose, outside of helping things go autopilot for us, its number one purpose is to keep us safe and to keep us alive. That's its number one purpose. Keep us safe and keep us alive. Here's the issue. The dictionary for the subconscious mind is not the same dictionary we read. If you go to the definition for the subconscious mind of what is safe, right? And what is safe and what is normal. It wants everything to remain safe and normal for us. What is safe and what's normal. But again, it can't decide good, bad, right, or wrong. So it has a dictionary and it says, okay, what is safe is that which is normal for you. What is safe is that which is normal for you. I'm going to be a little crass here, but if you're somebody that gets abused by somebody else, and it's happened for years and years and years and years, unfortunately, there's a program that goes on in your subconscious that says that's normal. And what does normal equal for the subconscious mind? Safe. And that is far from safe, okay? But that's the program that runs, right? So it doesn't matter what gets in there. If being broke is what it feels is normal, because that's what it's been programmed to think, then it thinks that is what is safe for you and that's what's best for you, because it's trying to keep you alive. It's trying to protect you. It's trying to put your life on as much autopilot as it can, also so you can develop and move on to learning new things. The problem with all of us at some point in our lives, and maybe even continue on today, we allowed, or in our situation growing up, whoever was taking care of us put us in situations where the input that came into our subconscious mind, especially at a young age, was BS. It's not what we would have chosen, knowing what we know now. We wouldn't have chosen the thoughts that went in necessarily. We wouldn't have chosen some of the beliefs that we have at a subconscious level. So now we're saying, okay, I grew up in such a way that money was a bad thing. Rich people were evil and bad, and money was bad. Church said I go to hell if I get too much of it, all these other things. So your subconscious mind goes, okay, having money is bad for you, but it also wants to keep you alive. So as long as you're staying alive, that it feels like it did its job. So you may only have just enough, or you may not have any money and somebody else is going to feed you, or you may suffer greatly, but you're still alive. How do I know you're alive? Well, at least today I know you're alive because you're in the Zoom meeting with me. So the subconscious has done its job. It does it really well. Here's the neat thing about it. Once it's reprogrammed, once you take a program that you don't like, that's not serving you and giving you what you want, once you learn how to change that program and get the subconscious mind to accept it, then it becomes the new normal for you. And what does the subconscious mind do? It goes out and works for you to make sure that that's what continues to happen. That's the bonus. The bonus is we can reprogram ourselves. We can make the decision what those programs are. We can't like upload 50 new programs at once. We've got to kind of focus on them a 1 or 2 or 3 at a time. But we can get our subconscious mind eventually to say, oh, okay, that's what's normal. Even before it became normal for you. You've convinced it, though, that that is what's normal. You've convinced it that having a lot of money is a good idea. You've convinced it that being rich is good for you. You've convinced it that being healthy is better than being sick. You've convinced it of all these things of how you really want to live your life, but it's going to combat you for a while until you're able to convince it of that. I'm not going to go through a whole how to do that right now. I've only got so much time every day with you guys, but I just wanted to share that to respond to your question, Lisa, that yeah, that's why things are the way they are. They're just a representation of our subconscious minds and the image it has of yourself. All it does is takes its image of what it is that is supposed to be normal and safe for you and make sure that it reproduces that for you. And a lot of that is based upon what you see yourself as your self-image. And again, that's more discussion and more things that we'll go through, but hopefully that's helpful for you.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any additional questions or comments, insights, ahas, anything anybody would like to share?
I was just curious if from what I've learned so far, and maybe there's a different order, but there's the conscious, there's the subconscious, and then there's the hyperconscious. Is there something in between the subconscious and the hyperconscious, or
super
after
conscious?
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's what I would say. Yeah, I mean, Bob Proctor, when he teaches, he knows there's three. He teaches it mostly as two on purpose. Superconscious is essentially our connection with source. But subconscious is what I just talked about, which is our program, the autopilot. Okay. But superconscious will happen automatically when we're in a state of when we're in a state with what it is that we want and what it is that we're thinking and feeling align, then it's easier to receive. The superconscious is where we receive our intuition, where we receive our revelation or our inspiration to know what actions we're supposed to take.
So is that like self-reparation then?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Is that like self-reparation?
Haven't heard that term. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
There's a million books out there.
Yeah.
Of course. And so that doesn't mean you're wrong or anything. I learn stuff every day. What's your definition of self-reparation?
Just like something so kind of like rooted or atomically ingrained that it's almost like impulsive or like second nature, but good.
Uh-huh. Well, so my personal thoughts and feelings. Okay. So you guys can agree with me or disagree. That won't matter in you being able to manifest money and wealth. Okay. When you're talking and communicating with source, you're not going to ever get an idea that's going to be bad for you. So in a sense, what you said, yeah, when you're connected and asking for help, you're always going to receive what's good for you. That doesn't mean you can't create bad things in your life, and people do. That doesn't mean people don't create drugs and machine guns and things like that, right? They exist because it's the same stuff. Here's the thing about the formless stuff itself. The formless stuff, when we talk about thinking stuff, and Wobbles is talking about, this is my thoughts on it. The stuff itself receives vibration and impression from us, but it doesn't come up with its own ideas. I'm going to separate for a moment, and again, agree or don't, it's okay. My thought about God versus us, okay? I believe that God is someone very much like us. I believe that God is someone who's just done more than we've done so far and learned more than we've learned so far. I don't know what everybody's thoughts and feelings are about, hey, do we go on after this life or do we just poof and we're gone? Okay. I personally believe we go on, we continue on. What do we continue on doing exactly? I don't know. But I do know this, that the formless stuff will respond. And that's why we have control over our lives, to our thoughts and our feelings. Matter of fact, it's not that it will, like we have to ask it to, it does. That's exactly what it does. It also doesn't choose good, bad, right, or wrong like our subconscious. It just responds. What our purpose to do, though, is to decide what we want and choose to work creatively instead of competitively, because we will kill and hurt and damage ourselves on the plane of competition versus creation. God, in my mind, is a person who he's had his chance to live on his earth, for lack of a better term, already beyond that, and has learned exactly how the formless substance responds to his thoughts and feelings. Therefore, he knows so much more than we do that when he puts a thought or feeling out there, it responds to him. And he doesn't doubt it's going to respond. He doesn't wonder if it's going to work. He's at the point now, he's an expert at it. We're not. Where are we on the scale? I don't know. We might be in nursery school for all I know, or daycare, or maybe we're in elementary school. I don't know where we are in our progression and understanding how it all works. But I believe that what God would like for us is to learn how to do what it is that he knows. And you could say he, she, it doesn't matter. What they know, what God knows how to do. And I think we're going to continue on after this life and continue learning more and more. And as we get better and better and better, we might be setting up our own planet like God has, maybe taking intelligences like we are and giving them the opportunity to learn and grow also. That's my thought. Okay. So this isn't necessarily an experiment as much as it's a classroom. And we get feedback through the results in our lives. It's just most people aren't aware that our thoughts and our feelings have more impact on what our life turns out to be and what we have than the physical actions we're constantly trying to take, and the competitive nature that has been bred into us by government, the school systems, and the society that we live in. So I think more and more people are understanding what we're talking about here. And that's why the information it's been around, but it's been made more readily available and easier to access because we're more ready to actually apply it. I think that's just part of our progression. But that being said, we're the ones that what happens is I believe we do communicate with God. I believe God is where we get our inspiration, our revelation that says, here's what to go do. Here's the action to take. Here's that you were going to go down the road and make a right turn, but you set yourself an intention to receive something specific in your life. And for some reason, you're told to go make a left turn and you don't know why. And you go make that left turn. And then you find that at the end of the left turn is somebody related to what it is that you intended and wanted, and God helped you receive it. God's going to be there helping you, but it's the formless substance that everything is made out of. But our thoughts and feelings, that's what connects us with each other. So yes, that whole superconscious, subconscious, and conscious mind. Conscious mind is where we decide, this is what I want. Subconscious mind is the thing designed so that we can learn something, become good at it, and move on to the next thing. By the way, I know we're over by 5 minutes, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop the recording right now. I'm not going to make everybody leave. Anybody who wants to stick around a few more minutes, you're welcome. Anybody who's like, oh, he's going to keep us an hour every day, I can't do that. That's fine. Don't worry about it.